Good evening again. Good to be with you again. Everybody getting settled all right? Well, Grace and I just have the wonderful opportunity to spend just a little bit of time with the parents. Parents, how are you doing?
Tired.
So on a scale to 10, emotional levels, 10, 1, 10. Well, we just wanted to take the opportunity. We've got about 15 minutes together, and Grace and I feel so strongly about the need and the wonderful nature of your support for your students. We wanted to just have a time of sharing a little bit of our experience, as we have 3 children who went through college and graduate school. And we're with you. I mean, it's a very joyous day, absolutely. But there's a little bit of emotion. I feel you. So we want to just talk a little about it. We'd like to share a little bit about our thoughts on it. And we have really appreciated, as many of you we've had a chance to see through today, whether it be in the residence halls or out at the picnic. Again, thank you so much for just sharing your heart with us. Some of you have really shared how struggle it is. We had many whose whole family had come in because it's their youngest child who's coming to APU. We are so grateful, and I think if there's one other message I want you to remember leaving, we are so grateful for the confidence you have in us and for God's wisdom in your children's lives. We take it seriously, and so we're with you. So we thought we'd just share a couple of thoughts, and then as we see you throughout the rest of the weekend, we want to hear your stories. We pray for you. So much prayer has gone into your students, and we will continue to do that. But as you know, Grace and I have been in higher education all of our adult lives. So that means our children also grew up in higher education. I have a son that's a professor, a daughter who's a physician, and then our youngest daughter is an academic administrator. So they all kind of grew up in the business. But there was that moment when we said goodbye for those students who began their college career. So I thought it would really be helpful. I'm going to interview Grace on this because it's a mother's heart that many times it kind of not, gentlemen, you know I'm with you, but but sometimes mom, you got to know how mom's feeling through this. So Grace's mother's heart I want to share with you. So we're going to share just a little bit of what she saw through each of our children, and hopefully it'll be an encouragement to you, and we look forward to hearing your story. So we're going to start with our youngest daughter, Jenny, who now lives in Maine. But Ginny's our youngest daughter, who is a political science major. Grace?
Well, welcome everyone. Here I go. So we have 3 children, and our youngest, I thought I'd start with Jenny. Jenny is married, and her and her husband both work at the University of Maine. I decided to start with her first because that story's a little different. We actually left her. And actually, that was the first time we had moved away from her, and it actually happened a second time. So the story is a little bit different because as a parent, we were packing up our stuff, putting it in the car, and taking the dog and leaving. She had graduated from the university. She had met Mr. Wonderful. They are now married, so they were planning their wedding. She was taking, as was he, a gap year between graduating from college and then going on for their advanced degree. Paul was taking a new job across the country. So we had 2 things going on. We had Jenny, who we were moving into a house with her best friend, and we had us packing. And so I'm busy. I'm doing this, and as she's with me and helping, I said, okay, Jenny, listen, I don't want you to forget that when we're doing the washing, remember, if you put in a little vinegar in the wash, it keeps the machine clean, it gets out stains, it really works. And then I'm going on in the kitchen, I'm saying, okay, now don't forget you're doing this. And now this went on for a couple of days of me just telling her. And I have to tell you, I just felt so in need to tell her everything she needed to know at that moment. Finally, I remember very clearly, we were walking down the hallway past the washing machine, and she goes, Mom, stop. And I said, what? What? And she said, Mom, I've been watching you for 23 years. I already know everything I need to know. At that moment, she hugged me. We had the Kodak moment at that special time. And I said, honey, I love you. And then I turned. But before I go, I want you to know one more thing. So I'm going to encourage you, parents, family members, caregivers, those who have children or others that you're caring for, the students that you're leaving, for the rest of the weekend, I'm going to encourage you to pause, step back for just a moment, and watch your child thrive. They need you to believe they can do this, right? So watch them, and you will be amazed that they have been watching you. They've got this. That's what our youngest daughter used to say when she was on the tennis team. They'd be playing doubles, and they'd walk past each other and high five, and they'd say, "You got this." And I just want to encourage you, your child has this.
Now, when Jenny said that, did you cry, or did you just say, "Thank you, Jenny"?
Of course I cried.
Okay, that's an important point. So our second daughter, so Jenny was always with us the longest. She was our youngest. I used to kid with my other children that Jenny's my favorite. I was really kidding until we had a family reunion one Christmas, and I was just kidding around, and my oldest son said, "Dad, we know. We knew it all along." So I felt very badly. But our middle daughter, Catherine, was always just the most intense, the smartest in the family. She was always going to be a physician. Kate was very directed, but a little vulnerable. But she was really, really interested in going to college, going away, and we were a little concerned that she was going to go away too soon. But she's done very well. But I think the moment she and Grace kind of had that Kodak moment was really special.
So our oldest two left within a month of each other. So that was the bit of a challenge that already started. We were moving and leaving our son, and the two were coming with us. But our middle daughter we were moving to Indiana, at that point, Illinois, and she was going to Nashville to go to Vanderbilt. So we were preparing for two at the same time. So I had decided, we had 2 months to kind of prepare for this, that every morning the kids would go off to school and do their thing. I would put on the saddest music, and I would just cry. This is the last time I'm going to fold their clothes. This is the last time. Now, you're laughing, but you know you've done that. You've been walking through the house and realizing how empty that's going to be. So you've done that. But I did that because I didn't want to cry when I said goodbye. Because like I said before, I wanted them to know, you've got this. And for me to cry makes it about me. And they needed to know that this is all about them. So Kate is 18 when she leaves home. Now our oldest two were, I think, both about 23 when they left, so we were fortunate. Kate was 18, and she was going away, and it was a 5-hour drive. It wasn't like it was easy. So we got all packed up. I don't know, for those of you who traveled any distance, did you use the vacuum cleaner bags? I mean, that was really helpful for us because we could really pack a lot, and you take too much and you can't fit it into the room anyway. So we're going through the weekend, and I am pretty good. A welcome weekend. We've got moved in. We had the thunderstorm. We're soaking wet. It's all good. We were in the Target parking lot, and everybody's on the phone trying to find a cart because we all look like a bunch of ants on a sugar cube there. So we've done all this. We've gone through, we arrived Saturday. Now it's Sunday. I'm doing okay. I am, honey, this is great. You're living it was actually a bomb shelter. It was, and I'm going, oh, isn't this good? We can make this work, honey. So it was all going well. But before we had left, we had made sure that she got a credit card because we thought if she had any unexpected expenses, we wanted to make sure that she, of course, everybody here already knows all the things they need to do. I was kind of a newbie at it. But we got the credit card, and she says, you know what, Mom, maybe I better try it once to make sure it works. I said, good plan. Okay, let's do that. So we went to the bookstore, and she says, I think I'm going to buy something. So I thought, great. So there was a long line. I said, you go. I'm just going to look around. I was looking at all the little stuff to get, the Christmas ornaments, Vanderbilt Christmas ornament. I thought, okay, this is good. Maybe get a little cup or something. And as I'm just getting ready to follow her down the line, I look over, and she has made her purchase. She took out her credit card, and she signed her name. Now, for whatever reason, but that was it, I burst into tears. All my effort to not cry, that was the moment I burst into tears. So I quickly turned and I walked out the door. Now she's running after me. Hey, Mom, what's the matter? I didn't want to see her see me cry. I'm trying to get it together. And so I turn around. She sees the tears pouring down my face, and she goes, Mom, what's wrong? And I said, you signed your name. That's all I could come up with. Now, I want you to fast forward 4 years. So we did this in out of, they were required to live on campus all 4 years. So we did this, we move in the fall, we move out in the spring, but then she stayed there during the summertime and would sublet some apartment, move into an apartment, move out of the apartment, move back in. So we did this all the time. You think I kind of got this down pat. Well, at the very end, when she graduated, again, it was a very humid day and it poured rain, but we were all there and we got everything. It took 2 cars this time to get everything in, so we had both our cars there. We loaded everything up. And so I go up with her as she's checking out with the RA, because you got to make sure you didn't tear up the walls or do anything, crazy. And so she's there, and I'm just kind of standing outside the door. We're celebrating. She's actually coming home for a few months before she starts medical school, got into the choice school she wanted, so all's good. So I'm standing there. The RA comes in. They go over the list, and my daughter signs her name. And if I don't burst into tears again, I quickly run to the elevator. I'm standing there kind of like, I don't even know what's wrong. And she looks at me and she goes, why are you crying, Mom? You signed your name.
So you signed your name has become a family joke in our family. I think
when she got married, she asked if I would sign the marriage certificate, and the joke was I better not let her see her sign it.
So our last, just a little quick anecdote was with our oldest son, David. And David is a professor, wonderful guy, pretty independent, but obviously grew up really loving his mom. They walked all over the neighborhood together. David was really just a good, I wouldn't say not a mama's boy, because that's not fair, but he and Grace were really close. And so when I was an administrator at UNLV and David was a student at UNLV, I could never get him to come to have lunch with me. And I couldn't understand. I said, Dave, why don't we have lunch? Let's go in the campus cafeteria. He goes, Dad, I can't. I got to work. You don't have a job. What do you mean you got to work? I got to study and everything. So, after 3 or 4 times, I began to take it personally. I said, Grace, does he not like me? He's my son. We grew up. We've done great things. So it really was kind of after graduation, we were having just a good time of reflection. I said, Dave, something really bothered me. We were on campus together for 4 years, and you never once came to the office, or we don't have lunch, and you're never angry or anything, but why didn't you just come around more often? And this is when we've done our best to try and raise good integrity children. He says, Dad, it was none of that. I always respected what you do. I just didn't want anybody to think I had a free pass because you were the vice president. Wow. Dave, I didn't even think about that. You want to go to lunch? He goes, no, Dad, I got to go to work. So, but Dave was very special to us. He was our oldest, and he and Grace had a very special relationship.
So my story with David is actually going to be one that occurred just about 2 years ago. So he is 35 years old now. I know we're so young. It's hard to believe that, married young, but... So at the time, David was 33. He was getting married, and to a girl who was in London. And so he asked if I might come. He's an assistant professor at Michigan State, but he was living in a loft. There's no reason for him to have a big place. But now that he's getting married, he's moving into a nice, 2-bedroom apartment. And so he said, hey, Mom, you want to come up and help me? So I flew to Michigan to help him pack. And
I told him I was working. I couldn't come.
Touché. So I get there, and we're cleaning out drawers and putting them in. And as I'm cleaning out one of his desk drawers, there is a letter that I wrote to him when we moved away and when he was in college, and we were saying our goodbye. And he kept it all those times, and it was sitting there right on top. So I share that story with you because obviously that just warmed my heart. Because at that time, I just poured out my heart to him. I quoted a song, 26 cents. I don't know if anybody remembers that one, about was a quarter for a call and a penny for your thoughts. And I just told him how much I loved him and how proud we were and are of him. And the letter's still there. So I encourage you that here our son, now 35, and he's married, still kept a letter that I wrote to him. Your children or your family member or loved one who you have brought to us today will always be that and more, and they will always share their love with you, and it's going to be different. They'll go away, they'll come back, they'll be distant, they'll be close. This is kind of a normal thing. But I encourage you to know that we are parents first. We get that. When we see your children on campus, we're going to love on them. Everybody's here, and it is going to be a great experience. It's not going to be without bumps because there really is no true growth unless you have challenges. But we're parents first. We get it. You have raised your children. They have watched you. They know what to do. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Thanks, Grace. I appreciate that. So I would just echo what Grace has said. We are going to love on your kids like they're ours, and I hope you have the confidence of that. I'd really like to bring our Student Government Association leadership out. What we're going to do in the transition before we get out to Candela is give you an opportunity to write a note, like Grace was talking about, to your kids. We will take that note, we will give it to them throughout the year, but this is just a moment to have you have a moment of reflection. Is there something you want to tell them? Is there something you'd like them to reflect on? So I'm just looking for where the SGA leadership is. Do I see them walking through here in their yellow t-shirts? Here they are. This is a great group. I love this leadership. Tayo is the president. So they're going to pass, Camilla, can you handle all of that? That's a big stack. Oh, no, of course you can't. So they're going to kind of distribute themselves throughout. They're going to give you the cards. We'd encourage you just to take some time, write a note, then we'll collect those. And I think we're going to let then Alex and Alpha Joy lead us through that. So if you'll just take a time for that, enjoy that, and we'll look forward to enjoying the time together out in Candela. Thank you all.
So thank you for taking the time to write those notes. What I would love to do is instruct you on how we are going to transition from this time to what Shino alluded to earlier, our two traditions of our students walking through the gate and also Candela. And really excited that we get to start this year off together with these traditions. And we really hope that it would be something that you would remember as a part of the beginning of the APU journey. So if we can have the map. So this is how it's all going to work, because what will happen is actually our students, they are the yellow arrows. They're actually on their way to the gate as we speak. And our Dr. Shino Simons is addressing them at the moment. And so they will be at the gate, and the gate will be closed. And then as parents, when you all are done, I will instruct you in just a minute to stand up and exit through to my right, to my left, your right, this way. And if you are on the upper level on this side, if you want to walk this way, there's actually a set of stairs that will lead you down so that you can exit through the lower level here. If you are on the upper level on this side of the room, you actually want to go that way. There's actually a set of stairs that will lead you to the lower level, and then we're all going to exit this way. So as you walk out, our SGA friends are going to have baskets to be able to collect the notes that you wrote, as well as the pencils, so you can drop them off. And so after you drop them off, when you get to what we call the bottom of Kresge Plaza, there will be candles for you to pick up on the way to where we will have Candela. So as you exit, you want to drop off your envelopes. And then you want to pick up your candle, and you want to follow the red arrow to the waiting area. We actually have some of our alpha coordinators that will be directing traffic to help you, but we will move as one herd down to West Campus Lawn. When you get to the waiting area, you'll notice some barricades, and you want to be on the right side of the barricades, similar to the diagram here where the waiting area is. And what we would love to do is have all of us join in on the waiting area, and really, once everything is set, we will open the gate and our students will walk through. And something that we wanted to emphasize as a part of Welcome Weekend is that you as family members and guests have the opportunity to see these students walk through the gate. And hopefully that will be a marker for you, and as we have the end in mind, that you'll be able to think about commencement as they walk through that gate one more time. We would ask that, I know that this is going to be a wonderful potential picture opportunity, and you're going to want to take out your cameras, and where's my son and daughter? I know that that will be there, but please know that we're trying to move a couple thousand people to the lawn all at the same time, so we would ask that you save that opportunity for picture after Candela, because that gate will be out there for the rest of the night once we are done with the ceremony. So you can feel free to take pictures, enjoy that time with your son or daughter, but we would just ask, for the sake of being able to move all of us in an orderly fashion, that we save that for after Candela. So with that, I am going to have you all stand. And as I mentioned, if you are a part of the lower level, you can go ahead and exit this way. If you're on the upper level, on this side, please move to your right down the stairs. If you're on this side, you want to move to your right down the stairs to the lower level and exit all together. Thank you.
Cornerstone, the solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What